As I would have said in 2022, we're here to talk through this TomTom and through other puzzles, but actually, as we're entering a new year, we wanted to rebrand, at least for the next 10 weeks, as we revisit our first 60 plus one puzzles. Wanted to rebrand this as Smashing the Sudoku. This is clearly an homage to a far more successful YouTube channel. We don't aspire to be a more successful YouTube channel. We aspire to be a great puzzle publishing company and really bring acclaim from different authors and the beauty of handcrafted puzzles to the world. And so if you've never seen a Smashing the Sudoku before, that's fine. This is, a kind of in-joke for people in the know. But for sure, if you do enjoy this video or other stuff we do, like, comment, subscribe. It definitely brings visibility to Grandmaster Puzzles and to things we're doing. This year, we've been really looking back at comments and questions we've gotten through the year and wanted to make sure we always called out one for each of these videos, which might have, give you some sense of information we're thinking through as we're planning out, puzzles for the future. And this one comes from John J, who asked what was our favorite puzzle game from 2022 and what are we considering as we plan for this next year. And for sure, 2022 in some ways was the year of Wordle, and not because Wordle was a new game, and even the game I liked about it wasn't Wordle, it was Quordle, but again, it was a sense of where do you find an old idea, but an idea that's packaged in a new way or finds an audience in a new way and blows up in a huge sense. And we've definitely tried different things in the site, but we haven't yet blown up in a huge way. And so when I think of Wordle, I'm actually most reminded of a game show and actually its host, in part because of, how it's a common style, but in different ways, how can you make, guessing a 5-letter word interesting in different modes? How do you sort of tell that story? And definitely remember one of my favorite game show hosts is really great at other word games too, sort of telling those stories. And that connects to the 2023 theme and different ways we've been thinking about how to get to a successful business model. Looking way back in the past, like thinking in the 80s, greed is good and all of that. Greed is not what we're after here. Again, if we went to advertisements, I don't think that's doing the right thing. But if we did go to advertisements, we're going to take inspiration from Wordle, inspiration from the game show host we know from, one of the places people associate Wordle, and think about at least a memorable catchphrase that we should have. Let's do it in our own way. Let's do it in a special way. And if that seems like nonsense, it probably is. But in the world of puzzles, nonsense is often where there's sometimes some hidden signal. Today we're going to talk about TomTom and Sudoku. These were the two styles that were in the first week ever of Grandmaster Puzzles, and they're both very important puzzles for me and for my life in different ways. I got the nickname Dr. Sudoku because I became most known as a puzzle solver around the exact same time as the fad of Sudoku, and we'll have different content through the year talking about my life in Sudoku and what it means. TomTom is a puzzle that the Sterling Publishing Company, Peter Gordon, Francis Haney, applied my name to. There's a different name for the style, which is trademarked, but particularly when it's computer generated, not necessarily the first hand generated forms of it. But I'd changed the rules some. I took artistry to it. They had a jokey name of calling it TomTom, and now a lot of the puzzle community refers to the elegant form of Kalkudoku style puzzles as TomTom puzzles. And both of these were important genres from my very first week in 2013 to write. And I've not looked back at these puzzles in 10 years, so today we're going to have the fun of trying to revisit them and asking ourselves the question, can Dr. Sudoku outsmart his younger self? And we will not know, but my guess is this is going to be the tougher puzzles, so where I try to do these videos in one cut to save on time, this is the one if I need to revisit. This is where the video is going to get shot, so we're going to see how this goes. And the theme for this TomTom by Thomas Thomas is rhyming clues. And this is a theme in different ways I've written lots of times. This is not the cleanest way I've ever written the theme because in the center we have some unique clues, but for sure the concept around this theme was having repeats not just in the 2-cell cages, but also in the 3-cell cages. There are 4 1s down here, there are 4 15s here. And at least thinking back about the style of puzzle, there are cages which work and don't work for this. 16 is too large. 16 is the first unique value. As you go upwards, it's 2 times 8. Certainly by the time you're at 28, this is going to be for sure a product, so those look easy. 14 is a really fun number because it's 2 times 7 or 8 plus 6, and they both work. So this is a case where all of those are possible. 15, very large, it's 8 and 7, but it's also 3 times 5. So again, we've got 2 values that work together. 12 doesn't work that way. 12 is actually where inverse information is more interesting. 12 can have all the numbers in it but 1. Again, this is something I know as a constructor. I don't remember this about the puzzle. Again, this is a fresh solve of the puzzle. I'm just kind of talking to you as I look back at it. 2 times 6, 3 times 4, those are low values. 5 plus 7, 8 plus 4, those are the 2 additions. Across those 4 sets, all the numbers but 1 are used. And they're numbers I didn't use in this puzzle, like a 2-cell 9 any value goes in, but it's always 1 with 8, 2 of 7, 3 of 6, 4 of 5, like different things you think about as you construct a lot. One cage is going to work like that too, but they'll always have consecutive values. These will always be subtractions, 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, etc. So let's get back to smashing this puzzle, and to do some of that, let's maybe start by recognizing some things that these clues give us. For instance, the 7 and 8 in this row are definitely pointing over to here, and so I think I meant to see those go away. If those go away, the top one is 3 times 5, and the bottom one is 7 times 8. So that's a nice way. It's not giving us digits, but it's now giving us the assignments. This 2, 8 is pointing up to here, so 2 and 8 go away. That means 6 pairs with 8 and 7 pairs with 2. I did that wrong. I want 7 with 2, so yeah, here's 8, here's 2. That's how that's going to go. This 3, 5, 7, 8 removes the 7, 8 option here, and this removes the 2, 6 here. So 2 with 7, 6 with 8. Here, all notations. We're not yet at our first sure number. Sometimes when I write these puzzles, I rotate them around, so like the key things actually will start to fill in the upper left. So I'm kind of like, without knowing that I should be outsmarting my former self, my older self would actually have these biases. I used to always bias to get a first number up here. So let's actually look at this column. And we haven't talked yet about how the 3 cell cages work in these. They obviously have, I try to always choose numbers in the same way these have products. Like the same product with the number 1 makes these work. Like 1 times 2 times 7 will be a 14, or 1 times 3 times 5 will make these work. And so typically one of these sets is going to have a tension in one of these grids when I write a rhyming pairs puzzle, so that I know the exact sum of what remains. And so let's think about that. 14 and 14 is 28. A knowledge bomb, again, like this is a way Simon Anthony talks about knowledge bombs. In a 1-to-8 puzzle, the sum of 1 through 8 is 36. We've got 28, so we have 8 left over if those are both sums. 1 times 2 times 7 make that be 10. That would leave behind, I'm very bad at math here. If it was 8, this would be 12. So 10 and 14 is 24, leaves behind 12. Those are both very valid sums, so I don't think this is important. So again, I was thinking this cell is where my former self would have hidden digit 1. So let's look at these. 15 and 15 is 30 if these are both sums. I have 6 to go. That looks very bad. So one of these is a product, 1 times 3 times 5. That means it's going to be taking up 9 in the column. The other is going to be a sum of 15 then as a requirement. So 9 and 15 is 24. This leaves behind 12, so this has 4 or 5 as its options. 7 with 5, 4 with 8, but 5 is in the 1, 3, 5 product, so 5 goes away, and look at that. I remember at least how I used to write puzzles and rotate the grid. So 4 with 8 is the start of this grid in the upper left. 8 gets me the 6. 6 forces the 7, forces the 2. That puts in a 7, 4. Anything else that flows immediately? Not yet, but that's a great start. Still got a lot of options here. 1, 3, 5 is one set. The other is 2, 6, 7. I don't yet have an elimination here. If I place a 6 somewhere, I can get an elimination here, but maybe it's worth looking back at this cell. We said 14 was 2, 6, 7, 8, but 2 is in the space, 8 is in the space, 7 is space. This is 6, this is 8. That now gives me the 2, 6, 7 set. So this has to be 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. This whole set is 1, 3, 5, and this is 2, 6, 7. Okay. I know for sure these are going to be late, although maybe someone who's really smart at math could do them now. There are so many options for the subtractions, and I'm pretty bad at getting them right. The one suggests a product here, but these could still all be sums. Can they both be sums? See, the first 6 digits add up to 21, so yeah, you could get 6 digits that add to just 24, again, leaving behind 12. That looks okay. Putting this 4, though, should help us in part because this whole space is somewhat empty. So one of these is going to have a 4, which means its paired value is going to have a 3, and this other one is going to be 1 or 2. This can't be a product. This is a sum. 4 with 1 put with 9, that doesn't work, so this is 2 with 8. This is another 1 down here, and this one to complete the 7 could be 6, 7, or 8. So 1 plus 6, 1 times 7, or 7 divided by 1, or 8 minus 1, but 7 and 8 are already in the column. So this will be 1 with 6 and 3 with 4, and we don't know which yet, but just understand like this notation is telling us something about this vertical. 1, 4, and 5 left to go here. The only way I get to 1 is a subtraction in a 2-cell cage with consecutive values. So 4, 5 there, 1 down here. That really doesn't help me because this is now, what, 2 and 4, 3 and 5, so on going up. But it's a start. And one thing it probably suggests, can I make a valid subtraction without the number 2? I think, yes, I can. It has to be 3, 4, 8. And then I can come back here and do like 5, 7. Does that work? I think that works. So not yet coming to there. Still want to work though across this column or this clue. I've got 1, 3, 5, 6 to go here. 3, 5, 6 don't work to make a 6. I need a 1 in here to make this work, and this will then have a 5 or 6 with it. So 3, 5, 6 up top, that's not giving me much. This 2 though tells me this isn't a product, so this is a sum. And if it's a sum, 14 and 14 both sums 28, this total set would add up to 8. If this adds up to 8, it needs to be a pair of the remaining values. 1 with 7 works, 3 with 5 works, 6 it cannot work because of the 2, and 4 is already in that space, so there is a 6 here or here. I then do need another value that works here, so this may be a good time to go back to the 12 clues. I don't recall if I said, I think I said, because I went through all of them, 12 is most noteworthy for not being able to take a 1. So let's put that in the same way like this row has 1, 3, 4, 5 to go. So this now has 3, 4, 5 only. Again, it can't take the 1. How do these work? 5 needs to go with 7, so this can't be that. So this is 3 or 4. 4 can go with 8 or with 3, so 4 is okay here. 3 can go, did I do that right? I got rid of 5. 5 really totally wants to be here. 5 does not want to be here. That's better. 7 with 5, that's good. 3 with 4, good. 3 cannot be down here. Okay, that's a start. That's 3, 7 then. This is 1, 5 to pair with it. Does that help us enough? Maybe yes, maybe no. Let's keep smashing, but maybe let's come to here. This 14, we said before, is 2, 6, 7, 8. This is not 6 or 8, so this is 2 with 7, and this cell is 6 or 8. What does that mean? It means across this cage, the 2 and 8 are already used. So if this is 2, then this is, actually, no, I don't have this right. If this is 2, 7, this is 2, 7. Yeah, 6, 8 gives 2, 7 here. This gives 2, 7 here. So this then is 8 with 2. So all the 2's are cleared out here. That says we've got some limits down here. So 2 is not in this space. 1 is not in this space. 1 has to be in these 2 positions, this column. Where are the remaining ones then? We're going to have 1's on these extremes. This is 1, it's with a 2. That's possible if this is 1, it's with a 5, 6, 7. These values are good. I still need a 7 in this row. I still need an 8 in this row. Those could be useful to think about. And it could actually be worth looking at these 3's at this time. Let's actually do something like this. We know this isn't a 3. So we do have a 3 across these. And that's then 3, 5, 6 in the space. That's good. This is 7, 1, and 7, 1 go over to here. So 2 7's in the space. That also looks fine. This is where I'm now soon going to have what's not typical in our channel. All the comments of Simon is super slow will become Snyder is super slow, and that's true. I'm very good at constructing these. Arithmetic-based puzzles are my puzzle weakness at different times, and I'm probably still outsmarting myself here. So let's really see what we can find. I need to get 2 8's into the bottom here. And I know 1's over here. There's an 8 over here then. Okay, that might do it. So if an 8 is in these cells, it's going to be 8 with 7. That's an issue right here. And we already know 8's not here and here and here from everything above. So there is an 8 down here. Because again, 8 goes with 7. I don't know that this was my intended logic, but it is interesting logic, and sometimes what I intended was interesting. So let's go with it. What does that do if it does more for us? Does it help us in this space any? Well, we still need to get like 3's, 4's, and 5's in this. And so maybe there's a way to think about the subtraction that's going to hurt us. So like, where does this 6 go if it doesn't go here? If it went here, it's going to be part of 6 and 4. And that's going to leave behind 3 and 5. So let me sort of sketch this out. So again, 6 isn't going to go here because 8 minus 6 needs a minus 1. So these are the two cells for a 6. If this is a 6, then 8 minus 6 minus 1 would work, but again, 8's taken, and this would otherwise be 6 minus 4 minus 1. But now we have 3 and 5 to complete this cage. That doesn't work. I think a thing I've ignored is there's probably divisions that are possible here, but not in this cage. So again, I think it's still okay to say there's no 6 over here. Yeah, 8 and 6 aren't going to divide. But this could be like 8, 2, 4. Let's not ignore that. I'm just defaulting subtraction, and there's another way to get to 1. But 6 can't be here, so 6 is here. And so now we still now this is like a 3, 5 value, and we can work off that a bit. If this is a 3, 5 value, then this is going to be an odd, 1 is forcing this to be a subtraction, not a division. This 3 can't be the largest value, so this can't be 2, and it can't be 4. The first thing this can be is 5. The other thing, if this was a 5, is 5 with 7. This will have to be a 3, 5 pair. So there's kind of a parity argument here. But once you know it's a subtraction and you're subtracting two odd things, or from an odd thing, two odd things to stay odd, this is what works. So this is 2, 4. Let me show you something I'm not going to actually use in this puzzle, but I see a uniqueness sort of issue here, which would suggest there's for sure no 4 in this cell, because this is not going to be a valid Grandmaster puzzle if that were the case. So in a competition, I would put in that 4, and that probably would help me a lot on a style I'm not as good at. But on this puzzle, we are going to continue smashing away in the legitimate way we're trying to this here. Still must be something simple to do up top, but what is it? I don't think we've ever thought about 3. This might be a good time to do it. Or let's come back to our big sort of power thing. We talked about leftover sums. If one of these is a product, at this stage, it would be the one with the 1 or the 3 in it. So 1, 2, 6, 1, 3, 4. Like this is either 24 leaving behind 12 as a sum, and it has to be a sum. Or this is something 1, 3, 4 takes us down to 8. 1, 2, 6 takes us to 9. So we're losing 3 or losing 4. So this becomes 15 or 16. So I think 15 is possible. So anyway, across those, 12 would require not 4 with 8, but 8 with 4. The other, we said it was going to be 8 or 9. Yeah, so that would get us up to 7, but it wouldn't get us to the other. So I think this is something like a 4, 7, which means 1 really doesn't want to be here. Let me do it this way. If this is 1, 2, is there any way I make this work? I now can't do 1 times 2 times 6. I can do 1, 3, 4, but that's too small here. If these are sums, that's too small here. Yeah, this is a 1. This is a 1. I'm liking what I was saying about this being a 4 or an 8. But 8 is, a 4 or a 7. This is a 2. 8 with 4, 8 with 7. The 4 doesn't go with either of those. I think this has to be the 8. And also uniqueness would have told me that. So I guess like we've converged across logic and illogic to get to here. Got 2 2s across these boxes. We finally then get 7, 2 here. That means there's no 2 here, so we need to fill this row with a 2. We still need a 2 somewhere in this row then, and all the 2s are accounted for except over here. This then can be a product, but it's not taking a sum with that 5, and if it's the 3, it's not taking a sum either, so this does look like it's 1, 6. That means this 6 goes away, so this is 3, 4, and this is 6, 1. And that 3 goes away here, the 1 goes away here. 1 goes away here, so this has to be a 1. This means this is a 5. It means this is a 7. Means this is a 3. Means this is a 4. We said these added up to 8, so that's a 5. This has to be then 3 with 4, but we got 3, 4. That makes this a 7. This was consecutive as a 6. We've got 3, 4, 5, and this has to be a 3 in the space. So it's the 4 in the space. That's 5, 4. This is 5 or 6. This is 5 or 6. So this is 3, 5, 3, 5. we have 3, 8 here. So this is the 8, this is the 3. That gives me a ping pong 8, 2, 2, 4, 3, 4. 8 to make this work as a 5 gives me 6, gives me 5, gives me 3, gives me 5. I have 1 and 7 here, 7 up above, 1 down below, 1, and it looks like it marked it correct, but I mean to make this a big number. And we are through the first Saturday TomTom of the year, a style that has my name, but I still struggle a bit to solve. We, though, will push forward, and we'll push forward to the Sudoku of the week, and a Sudoku that had a very logically themed style. I think, as I said in this, there is symmetry and there's something else to do with it. And I've gotten a little better with Sudoku since 2013 in terms of writing very memorable puzzles, but I'm pretty sure I was trying with this puzzle to do some things that would be likely playing off geometry. I don't know if this was a puzzle I would have hidden an X-wing in or something else. For sure, I'll say, like, when I tend to solve these puzzles, I'm going to look for like sets of numbers together. So I see 2 8s up top, so I'm trying to place one of my notes here. This is now termed Snyder notation. I'll do a video this year to actually describe Snyder notation. I didn't name it that. Again, that's one of the things that, like, the Cracking the Cryptic channel is now forced on me, as if people wonder if I created Snyder notation or if I'm like pompous. I got really good at solving Sudoku between the first and second World Sudoku Championships. I practiced to get about 30% better. Most of the field also practiced and got better, and so very few people from the first championship were still near the top. Of the second one, I stayed and won. And some form of that was improving how I scanned in puzzles. Another was just writing a lot more puzzles, and for sure notation, notation, notation. And so one thing I do in Snyder notation is not just write the either or notes. Let me actually turn on in PenPal. You can do something like this. You can write on edges. Snyder notation is this. When I can write the number in one place, I write it on the line, because then across this row, I'm seeing it when I look left, right, but I don't see this 8 when I look up, down, because I shouldn't. It's not yet useful. Anyway, that's for a future video, not for today. For today, I know that's a big 8. Let's get the drawn edges off. Across these spaces, this is an 8, this is an 8. So the theme of this puzzle is not 8, but we're at least getting rid of it soon. What I actually think is going to be more the theme of this puzzle, because I'm seeing at least one example of it. So these digits really block out, and so in Snyder notation form, I would have to have a 2 over here, have to have a 4 over here, and this now forms a pair. And you'll actually see something playful here around the square of clues. So actually, like, look at, let me sort of mark this whole box. This box extends this way. And so I'm pretty sure in this month of my life, for some reason, I felt 2 was an important number. But the start of this puzzle is probably the value 2. It's in the center, but the center is not as interesting. It's there 3 times. And actually 4 is there 3 times. Those are 2 numbers let's look at a lot. Why should we look at those a lot? The 4 is going to be in this corner position in those 2 spots. The 4 is in this position in 2 spots. This 2 is going to have a 2 in this corner position, these spots, also in this position, these spots. So here's another 2-4 pair. And let's see, is there another digit that does this here? This 3 coming down puts the 3 over here. So this is indirect, but this 3 and this 3 look over here. So now we've got another corner pair. I have to believe I got this so that the last corner, it can also fill this in. But let's sort of do some more tracking in the center. So again, we got some Snyder notes here. We've got a 9 for sure there. Puts a 9 up top. Got a 7 across these positions. I sort of really want to go back to looking at this corner, just because I'm pretty sure I was a little too clever. As a Friday Sudoku, you always want to just scan around to find your point of progress. And even like marking these corners, it could be I could even like place a simple 4 or simple 2 and get the rest. But all the, here's the last 2 note I should write into the grid alongside this. Let me make sure I have my 4 notes. There should be a 4 over here. So just like 1, 5 are important, but they're not yet limited in this cell. 1, 5, 7, 9 are useful here. So we've got 9 on the outside, 7s on the inside. We also have 7s here on the inside. The 1 and 5 aren't worth yet being in my notation. Actually, this might start it. So this 5 is certainly going to come across and be vertical here. It means it is in these cells. And oh, there it is. It was the I'm making another 3 in this corner. So this 3 comes up and cancels, and here's a 3 note. And so, okay, so if you wanted to not view this puzzle as a slog, but view it as cool, I'm pretty sure just getting these without everything else is the constructor's goal for your start. And that's it's at least a nice style, and it's almost like painting-like. So a 2-3 into a 2-4 into a 3-4 is kind of like a Y-wing. So maybe there's even something about that if this were a Y-wing, but the communication is not great. It's like 4-2-3 doesn't really do anything here except put in a 2, actually 3. Yeah, like there's no proper mix, but it's making pairs in all the corners. So pairs in all the corners was the theme. So we've now rediscovered what the theme was that I just didn't write in spoiler text. More to do here. We've got 6 with 9. So again, 6 on the outside. I see 9 seeing here, so here's a single. Let's put that in. That signal now gives us 3-2, 2-4, 4-3, 4-2. So we have gotten one layer of the onion. We're cleaning up through our Steiner notation, and since I just put so much into the grid, I want to do this pretty carefully. 4-4, that's this 4, gives me this 4. There are far too many numbers in this. I so much prefer paper where I have like the edge marked here and not all these numbers. This is not as good for scanning. We did some 6s. I'm trying to look back everywhere I made progress. Okay, I put in the 2, so I have to know this 2. I put in that 3, I have to know this 3. So let's just clean up all those digits. 2s are now all in the grid. 4s are all in the grid. And 3s, here we got left, right. That works with Snyder notation here. So notice the 4th and 6th columns are done. 3 is in that position. Okay, 1, 6, 9 over here, so that puts a 6 in these cells, then forces a 6 to the left in the space. We've got a 7 across these and a 7 across these, so we sort of have like a 7 loop. So this will quickly force once we get something, but we just don't have the something yet. We had this 5 coming across, and again, this 5 notes. Let's not ignore that we need a 5 now in one of these 2 cells. That 5 from below puts a 5 here, puts a 5 here. This cell and the cell from this 5 note coming above means there's now a 5 up top, which means there's a 5 here or here. This 5, though, with that 3-4 pair puts a 5, puts a 5. That moves down the 6. That means this is a 6, means this is a 7, means this is a 5, means this is a 1. That 6 puts in this 6. The last 6 is up top. That's not going to do as much yet. We've got 5 with 9 coming down. That 9 kills this cell, so that gets a 9 into the Snyder notation of the 5, into the Snyder notation of 7, into the 1. Let's just kind of clean up the 7s, because obviously they're going to work. That puts into a 3 note, puts into a 9, puts into a 6, puts into 1. Again, like, it's not that this is the best way to actually see all the things. I trained with this, so I could, once I got into a puzzle, I could just complete it fast, right? As long as I do this well. I've stored local logic that lets the eliminations at the end go well. And then I kind of just have to check the last digits. So like Snyder notation isn't to see X-wings and things. Like my head is to see X-wings and things, but it resolves puzzles with either notes or notes fast. Anyway, this is the most curious form of our new series, Smashing the Sudoku. But hopefully you enjoyed seeing me smash one of the puzzles I wrote in the past and not do so well on the TomTom. But that's a life 10 years removed from 2 puzzles I haven't seen in a while. I hope you do appreciate looking back at some of these older puzzles. We are trying to really take this year to revisit the spirit of what we're trying to achieve as a company. And that means if my business plan used to say, we'll start with a blog and we should grow out from it, like we really do need to figure out what's next for Grandmaster Puzzles. And so the focus isn't on continuing what we were doing before, it's on learning from the past, looking towards the future, and synthesizing that to a really new vision. So hope you're excited for the channel. Hope you're excited to see me smash some more puzzles. And please keep watching at least for the next 9 more weeks, because we've got some special things coming up. Thanks. We'll see you again soon.